their best practices.
Yeah, and thank you for that, and there's comments in there, again, about value proposition, about communications, about involvement, but it's getting that relevancy and that connection that says, look, we're better going at this thing together. We've got something we can provide that will help you guys get going. It's going to be good for our community, it's good for you, it's good for the chamber, et cetera, but somehow we have to get to that kind of level. What else do you see there? Other issues? Yeah.
You know, running a chamber is running a business. And the balance of running your business with the ultimate mission, which is helping other businesses. You have to raise money to stay in business in order to help someone else. So that maintaining that balance to me is the biggest challenge.
It's a great point, and by the way, you know, the easy thing, not the easy, the simple implication like that is what about turnover of key people in your organization? The implication of when that happens, a program leader, somebody who's got great experience, how that impacts you. So again, running that business smoothly so you can support the needs of other businesses, really well said, which is how you strike that balance. By the way, you're a role model as a business owner, right? Or as a business leader there. And if you're not running a good shop there, they're going to look and say, you're going to give me advice?
Exactly.
Wow. Sounds great, yeah. They start running the different run.
There was a lot of comment on dysfunctional boards and lack of
Yeah.
trust between your board members and your chamber leadership.
Yeah.
No synergy, no trust, no success.
Yeah. And we may do that as a bit of a wild card because that's a really compelling one there, which is, and by the way, it's not just chambers, it's organizations in general have a lot of challenges with getting an effective board and what the right role of the board is and all that stuff and cutting through the politics of a board and all that kind of stuff. But if you have a great board that really works well, man, that's fabulous because that's great experience. They're helping you develop the longer term strategy, they're advising you and all that kind of stuff. But frequently it's not the case. Or you create too big of a board. You get, you know, my board in the Scottsdale Chamber was 58 people. Are you serious? You ought to see those meetings. They're really interesting social affairs. They're really, with all due respect, not very effective in terms of getting the input. So in that case, then you run it as an executive committee, and then, well, what's the value of the board? Are you tapping the board members? All that stuff. So it's a great one to bring out. And again, getting that right level of trust.
Oh, I had one.
Yeah.
I put here the chamber focusing on business and economic access
Yeah.
and not on being the community center for all issues that pertain to African Americans.
Yeah.
Because I think a lot of times where you start to see this issue with a sense of relevancy is all this massive scope creep. You know, when something happens, you know, in the community, for example, someone may have gotten shot or something like that. The chamber president, that's not my job to put out a statement about that. I put out statements about inequities in access to capital, inequities in access to contracts. The NAACP, the Urban League are our partners. They're responsible for that role. And I think a lot of organizations think that we have to be everything to everybody just because we have African American in our name. And we need to stay in our lane and people will take us seriously as a business and economic organization versus being a social organization, which is what we are not.
Yeah, well said, and there's a lot of you that talked about sort of that implication about, again, getting sidetracked by the social, getting sidetracked by the community, and it's not to be unaware or not involved because you have to be, and it's part of the deal. But to the degree that you move your fundamental focus from the economic development, because the principle is if we're effective in our economic development and the role we play, a lot of those issues will get resolved. I mean, that's one of our best ways to resolve that. But again, it's everyone in this room, I think, has experienced what you just talked about, so it's a fair game. Yeah.